Well, we'd love to welcome everyone here today. We're so excited, and we ask that you please join us in welcoming Missy Taylor, a strategic operations and technology leader with more than 20 years of experience driving enterprise transformation across the healthcare, government, and corporate sectors. Missy's a PMP and an ITIL certified professional. She has a deep expertise in healthcare technology, enterprise program management, organizational transformation, and change leadership. Throughout her career, Missy has partnered with executive teams to lead complex technology implementations, optimize operations, and deliver measurable improvements in efficiency, cost saving, and organizational performance. We're excited to have her here with us today to share her insights and expertise. Missy, I'm extremely excited to have you here because you know this is near and dear to my heart, and it's also something that everyone really needs to understand how they can uh, understand and improve operational efficiencies and become excellent at their operations. So, Missy, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Kristen. It's great to be here today. I'm going to move to the next slide. I think, Kristen or Ellie, you're going to do the welcome tips?
Yep, that will be me. So just some quick welcome tips. We encourage you to use the chat to share your name, organization, and where you're joining from. This is also a very interactive session, so if you have questions, please feel free to ask. Put those in the chat. We will be doing several polls. We do ask that you not record this session because we are recording it, and it will be posted to our YouTube channel for people to go back and watch or watch for the first time.
Great.
All right.
And this is us.
This is us, and then we'll head on into the presentation, and I will be Missy's facilitator and help as we go through this exciting topic.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. Again, glad to be here. Our learning objectives are pretty simple. We're going to overview the concepts of operational excellence, as well as what operational excellence means in practice. We're going to identify operational gaps and efficiencies, simple steps to improve performance, and how leadership and culture actually shape successful change. The evolution of operational excellence, historically, it was centered around improvement in manufacturing environments. The evolution of OE, or operational excellence, has moved through several distinct eras, from the industrial engineering era focused on scientific management to the methodology era, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Lean or Six Sigma. And then finally, in today, the more modern people and culture era. Some of the concepts around operational excellence occupy a very central but very ambiguous position in modern management discussions. The term often functions as a really odd descriptor for high performance or world-class status, lacking singular accepted theoretical foundation. Models are huge and have evolved over time as they focus on creating adaptive, human-centered organizations. The latest phase recognizes that tools do not solve problems, but people do. Organizations that successfully transition into this phase focus on soft skills like leadership, communication, and emotional intelligence, as these are critical enablers of operational success. I'm going to just lightly touch on the models because they differ in their fundamental focus, their methodologies, and their application across different sectors. They basically align into three different focus types. This slide shows the strategic alignment and principle-based models. The next one will be efficiency and process-oriented models. And lastly, the last slide has a few risk management and iterative models. The top three you see here are the 7 core pillars, Hoshinkari, and the Shingo model. 7 core pillars, it's an integrated system where improvements in one area naturally strengthen others. So I'm not going to read all the elements to you, but you can see a very big focus on strategic leadership, process excellence, customers, and people development. Hoshinkari was focused around policy development, and it specifically bridges the gap between strategic intent and day-to-day execution. It utilizes that back and forth conversation between leadership and the staff that are performing towards an assured goal, so that the goals are understood and owned at all levels. Shingo was kind of a total mind twister because it's deeply rooted in 10 guiding principles. These are principles that guide your culture. It emphasizes principles that underlie that culture to sustain long-term results like respect every individual and lead with humility and seek perfection. We're going to move into the efficiency and process oriented. A lot of you, I'm sure, have heard of lean thinking. It's very customer centric. It's a management system that focuses on limiting waste and adding value to your processes. And it follows basically 5 steps. I'm not going to go through all of those here today. Then you have the theory of constraints, which focuses on that weakest link or a bottleneck in your systems to maximize your throughput while minimizing your inventory and operating expenses. Very geared a lot towards manufacturing. And then if you have been in the global networks, ISO 9000, 9001, these are specific to creating a global integrity of quality, and a lot of organizations follow this in order to have make sure their quality management is certified. The next two, unless you've been in healthcare or aviation, you likely have not delved into HROs or high reliability organizations, which are designed for high risk environments like aviation and healthcare, or the flex methodology. Flex methodology was geared for fighter pilots so that they follow an iterative system, plan, brief, execute, and debrief so that they decrease any of those mistakes from any initial plans. Okay, we're going to pause here for our first poll.
All right, we'll give everyone a minute or two to answer, and then we'll summarize the results. But, when you're thinking about operational excellence in your provider agency, where is your primary focus? And we know that can always shift. Give it another couple of seconds. And then, Ellie, will you release the poll for us? So, interesting. 67% said culture and 33% said strategy. So again, these can shift over time. And Missy, I'll hand it back to you.
Great, thank you. Thanks for participating. So what is operational excellence? So it represents the systematic pursuit of flawless execution across all business functions, and on and on. This is way too much for me to unpack. My brain could not wrap my cognitive abilities around this sentence. So I say, in reality, operational excellence is a moving point on your strategic map. That moving point can come in different areas of your operations. It could be your processes, your people, your culture, your success. When they all meld in together, reaching that specific point in time where you feel like your operations are actually have improved and you're reaching that excellence point until your strategies change, right? So excellence, the definition depends really, and it shifts depending on your focus. So efficiency, culture, or strategy. So efficiency, is it primarily a state of operations, like performing tasks better, faster, or cheaper? Is it cultural? Is it where every employee can see the flow of the value, such as like service to their customer, whereby they possess the autonomy to repair the process flow before it ever fails? Or strategy, is it ultimately the pathway that everyone follows towards the goal? I think in actuality, it's a mix of all three. So the evolution of the concept is marked by a transition from business excellence to operational excellence. Business excellence, or BX, provides a macro view, so a larger global view of strategy and stakeholder communications. Operational excellence is a subset that focuses on the culture and the people and the systems that execute that strategy. Whereas process excellence deals specifically with effectiveness and efficiency of individual workflows. So this hierarchical relationship suggests that high-performing organizations must synchronize all three of those levels. So business excellence to define direction, operational excellence to create necessary culture, and process excellence to ensure technical and operational precision. And I think we're in a paradigm shift. So with the continuing advent of technologies and AI, there's been a paradigm shift. We had that excellence illusion, right? So the primary focus during excellence illusion was the cost reduction and maximizing immediate efficiencies. Wherein our new reality is the primary focus with value creation and sustainable competitive advantage. The architecture and the illusion, static rule books, rigid organizational silos, and linear supply chains. In the new architecture, adaptive systems, composable platforms, and cloud-enabled ecosystems. In the illusion, methodology was isolated into deployment tools like Lean or Six Sigma to fix localized problems. In the new methodology, principle-driven cultural transformation and continuous systemic learning. And that technology role in the illusion, automation as a replacement for human labor. But in the new reality, the technology is that there's cognitive augmentation and the human and the AI team come together to upscale the capabilities. Some of the core pillars of operational excellence are centric around an excellence wheel. With this paradigm shift, there's a melding between those 7 core principles, Shingo, and another model that I'm going to introduce here in a minute. It's called Baldrige. So these are the 7 core principles unpacked. So there's a lot to unpack here. The strategic leadership or vision, like when you align improvement efforts with business strategy, it fosters cross-functional collaboration, and this is a cultural shift for a lot of people. For process optimization, you systemically map out those workflows to eliminate waste and to reduce the variations in your processes so that you have a more streamlined process to that end goal, which moves into customer value. So translating your customer requirements into specifications and optimizing that end-to-end journey. Internally and externally, your customers could be internal to your organization or external who are utilizing your services. Moving into people and culture. So shifting from a blame-oriented environment to a problem-solving culture. You develop capabilities at all of those levels. Into performance analysis. So you utilize balanced scorecards, statistical process control, and predictive analytics to drive your decision-making towards better performance. Then we move into digital integration, like leveraging digital twins, process mining, and AI to enhance decision-making. Now, these may be new concepts to you and words that are new as well, but these are reachable technologies that are extremely useful in day-to-day operations, and we'll talk about these more in a minute. Then we moved into continuous improvement. I think everybody's well attuned to continuous improvement. So standardizing your plan, do, check, act, your PDCA approach to daily problem solving. Hopefully this summarizes those core pillars for you. This slide is around system and the cultural link. So where did Baldrige come from? So because I highlight that on the left side of the screen of this slide, and we didn't highlight this in other slides, but Baldrige is the strategic and organizational context in which other methodologies operate. So it ensures that improvement is aligned with broader performance and excellence goals. So more broadly, Baldrige provides a systems-based approach that guides organizations towards sustainable performance excellence. While Shingo on the right side is kind of the soul of the organization. It provides a cultural foundation. While Shingo provides this, many organizations utilize the Baldrige Excellence Framework to provide the structural guidance. And the melding of these two in the middle is where the structural discipline meets behavioral alignment. Research indicates that integrating these two frameworks provides a more robust management system than using either of those in isolation. This is just a slide to represent the comparisons between the Baldrige framework and the Shingo model. The core questions are practical applications to move towards excellence. So Baldrige asks, is the organization doing as well as it could be? And Shingo asks, why do we behave the way that we do? So that structural and evaluative criteria up against the soul and the behavioral roadmap. We're going to pause here for another poll.
Great. Ellie, if you will release the poll, there it is. The Excellence Illusion Self-Assessment. Which statement best describes your agency's current approach to operational change? We'll give everyone a couple of minutes to read over and select one. Ellie, we'll give it another minute or two, and then we will, another second or two, and then we will release the poll. Let's release the poll. So this one is split almost down the middle. We've got 33% on focus, 33% on deploy isolated tools, and 33% on focuses on principle-driven culture transformation.
Interesting.
So very interesting.
Yeah.
Missy, back to you.
All right. Thank you for that. Now we're going to talk about transformation systems. Now that we've covered where operational excellence comes from, now how do we do it? I've gathered some practical questions to ask yourself. And again, when we read through these, remember, tools do not solve problems, but people do. And organizations that successfully transition into those soft skills, leadership, communication, and emotional intelligence, these are critical enablers of operational success. So one, strategic alignment. So how clearly is our vision, your vision, and purpose understood at every level of the organization? And are our operational goals directly linked to our strategic objectives? So giving that clear vision so that everybody's aligned in the same direction. Two, process clarity and efficiency. Do we have documented, standardized processes for our critical workflows? Where are the biggest bottlenecks or sources of waste in our operations? Or where does that process slow down? Where do our payments stop? What happens to the money that goes off into the left field somewhere before it comes back around 2 weeks later? Three, performance measurement. What key metrics truly reflect value for our customers and stakeholders? And how quickly can we detect and respond to performance deviations? Then we move into culture and engagement. Do employees feel empowered to suggest and implement improvements? How do we recognize and reward behaviors that support excellence? Continuous improvement. What mechanisms do we have for regularly reviewing and refining processes? Are we learning from both successes and failures in a structured way? Customer-centric focus. How well do we understand evolving customer needs and expectations? Are we consistently delivering on our promises to customers? I'm going to tell you a short story about one of the jobs I've had in the past. So I was an implementation manager for a very large company, and I started their implementation process because it was a nascent little company born off another one that was quite large. At the end of my first implementation, I was shocked because I joined a meeting and my boss was on the meeting, and there was probably about 60, 70 people on the meeting. And she said, Missy, why don't you talk through all the things that you did wrong during that implementation? We were focusing on those failures during that large implementation, but we looked at the root causes and did process improvement along the way. So we were learning for both our successes and our failures in a structured way. We listened to our customers, we listened to their expectations, and we changed our processes in order to meet those expectations. Those meetings eventually turned into meetings that focused on the complete successes that we were having. So leadership within operational excellence, the context has shifted from enforcement to empowerment. There's a people-centric leadership driving this. So communication of compelling vision, the fostering of psychological safety so employees feel safe to share ideas. This leadership encourages participation. And the people-centric practices that focus on whole teams of people implementing improvements has proven that change becomes continuous improvement instead of a one-time project. When I moved into my last state job, the teams were in extreme silos. One team had been together for more than 16 years. They maintained and made incremental improvements to a very aged ERP system or enterprise resource planning tool. It took all of these leadership, people-centric tools to turn that ship into a different direction. It was the quiet listening for months to really understand how to become not only a part of their team, but their leader. A little bit deeper dive into leadership. Leadership starts from within. My most favorite head coach ever is Pat Summitt. If you guys don't know who Pat Summitt is, she was the leadingest coach for the University of Tennessee Lady Vols basketball team for many, many years. She would ask a simple question, what's your role? It's a simple question, but it can change the way that you show up to your job. Like, own your role, do your part, be a part of that team, and take the next step. I've had to learn things like saying, that was my fault, and thank you, and I'm sorry, because responsibility is clearly outlined with making it complicated. So own your part, learn from it, and keep going.
Missy, I'm going to interject for just a second
Sure.
on your last slide. And I'm also a huge fan of Pat Head Summit and grew up in the same hometown that she started out in. But What you say here speaks volumes because being in organizations and seeing organizational change over time and trying to achieve operational excellence, it has to start at a leadership position. And when I say that, everyone is a champion leader. It doesn't matter what position you're
Exactly.
in, and it's owning that responsibility. It's speaking up because oftentimes the large leaders think the metrics should be one way, but they're not hearing, as you said, from what's really happening on the front lines. What are the customers saying? And so when you say this, the leadership, the deeper dive, there's a leader in each and every one of us. And when it comes to implementation and change management and even operational excellence, it's our job to do these things as well. So thank you for
Yep.
bringing these forward.
Absolutely. I agree 100%, Kristen. Here's Pat herself. So this is the leadership freebie. So Pat Summit's definite dozen. It's like, why do I talk about this? Because for me, leadership is key to your culture. Along with great leadership comes smooth operations. So these are Pat's definite dozen. But I'm going to tell you my own culture and leadership story from when I was hired on my last job at the state. So I was basically hired as a business relationship manager, though my title was senior executive project manager. There was a long history of contentious relationships between the technology entity of the state and another major agency at the state. So it was my job. They hired me to improve it. About 3 months in, I was called to the state CIO's office along with my supervisor, her supervisor, the deputy CIO, and the state CIO, and the agency CIO. And she asked me directly, looked at me, she had piercing blue eyes, much like Pat Summitt did. She said, "So what is the problem?" And I thought at that time, this is either my exit from this job at the state or it's my entry into actually doing what I was asked to do. So my answer was, it starts from the top. And I looked at both of them. From that point on, they both changed their language in meetings from adversity to being supportive of each other, trying to be that support on both sides so that every member of their team from the top down to the bottom took on that leadership role to say, we're going to change our attitude and we're going to be more kind to each other. So I'm not a hugely extroverted person. The gem that I've given my teams over the past 20 years has been, you were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth, and always use them accordingly in whatever situation you find yourself in. I found that this has helped me to lead in a constructive and an informed way. So digital technologies. We're going to pause for poll 3 here, Ellie.
Okay, digital transformation readiness. Where does your agency stand regarding modern operational technology? Give you a couple minutes to read through and answer. I'll just give it a couple more seconds and then please release the poll. All right. Again, this is split out. So we rely heavily on manual processes and legacy spreadsheets, and a lot of organizations out there are like that. So you're not alone.
Yeah, that
We
is
use
true.
basic automation software to streamline routine tasks. Everyone is at a different technological and operational segment. So again, these represent what other organizations are going through. And then we are evaluating AI and process mining tools to detect process bottlenecks in real time.
Nice. Great.
Missy,
Great.
back to you.
It's a great segue into this. So all this focus on culture and our own leadership skills does not purport that we solely focus on that, but we need to interweave the culture to align the goals of each person and efficiencies of the processes and the data that the organization runs on. So I don't know if anybody's ever had to map a complex process, but this is where technology can shine. If you know what process intelligence is or digital twins, we're getting ready to talk about them. So digital technologies, operational excellence is being transformed by digital technologies. The industry is really emphasizing the fusion of physical and digital worlds through AI, the Internet of Things, and cyber-physical systems, furthering reintegration of humans back into those automated processes with a focus on sustainability and the social aspects of systems. AI implementation, digital transformation technology strategies are frequently discussed ways to erode legacy operational constraints and remove the barriers to excellence. So process intelligence platforms provide rocket fuel to process improvement. They can provide system agnostic, so it doesn't matter what tools you're using. They can identify lags, stoppage, multiple complexities of processes to help organizations improve where they are. Real-time digital twins and automated process mining can identify deviations as they occur, triggering immediate visual management and root cause analysis. So this same digital twin can help an organization align with new systems. For example, we were looking to modernize our ERP at the state of Tennessee, and we looked towards having a digital twin of our system so that we could bump that map up against a new map of a new system to see where our disparities were between the two systems. But they help align with those new systems, ensure that best practices are implemented before you do major purchases or do costly implementations. So companies that excel in operations have adapted to technologies by starting with the problem rather than the process or a product as a whole. And operational transformation focuses on the integration of technology and human capability. So this is super tiny, but if you can blow up your screen to look at this. So most processes are complex webs of steps to complete an action, right? This is an actual process map of a singular action. We took this tool, I'm not going to name the name of it, but we took a tool to help us shrink our timeline from literally years to months so that we could assure that we were writing towards our need for an RFP for a new system. So most people, most organizations think their process looks like number one. They think it's very linear. We start at A, we go to Z, there's no bottlenecks, there's no problems with it. And then how organizations actually think the process runs, we'll think, okay, well, it does start with those first two, and then it kind of dives over here and goes down, but it's pretty succinct. But in actuality, it runs like number three, which is, this massive spaghetti diagram where it's so complex and there's so many multiple processes that you don't really know where to begin to improve upon it. So we utilize this tool to help remotely connect into our systems, and it takes multiple inputs from varying systems. It could be somebody else's system, your own system. It could be an email or a CSV file or a spreadsheet, and it maps your processes for you. And this is how we shrunk our timeline from something that was very long and almost unimaginable to something that was digestible and that our agencies could take a hold of and say, well, that's not really how it works, or I didn't realize it did that right there. So we had some really wonderful conversations with our agencies in order to move past some of the process bottlenecks that we were seeing through this automation. And poll 4.
And as we release poll 4, I just want to let everyone know that those in attendance today will get a copy of Missy's slide deck, so you can blow this up even more once you have it. For those who are watching in the future on our YouTube channel, if you would like a copy of this slide deck, please just reach out to us and we are happy to provide it. So for poll 4, process design versus execution reality, how closely does your agency your agency's actual daily workflow match how the process was originally designed? We'll give people a couple minutes to read through and answer. Ellie, if you'll give a couple more seconds, and then please release the poll results. Well, a resounding 100%. How it actually runs, a complex web of workarounds, delays, and hidden steps. Every organization faces that. Missy?
Yes, I'm not shocked. All right, so what are the real success factors? To me, it's process management, like keep it steady and improve constantly. You're not going to be able to bite off humongous chunks and feel really safe and secure that you've touched all those areas that need improvement. Your organizational culture, it makes improvement stick. Your leadership style, coaching, not demanding. HR management, build skills and capability, operation strategy, aligning with your business goals, and obviously your organizational structure. So break up those silos and improve the workflows and the people flow between your teams. So people plus process plus purpose equals success. And I think we have another poll.
Leadership and culture evolution. What is your agency's biggest opportunity for improving organizational culture? Give folks a couple of minutes to answer. And again, at different times, you're going to face these different things. All right, Ellie, if you'll give it a second or two and then release, please, the polls. All right, so the results are sort of split, Missy, 33% shifting leadership from enforcement to empowerment and coaching, and 67% moving away from one-time projects toward continuous improvement.
Lovely. Very good. Thank you. You know, we can talk about different steps, but these are some that I just wanted to highlight. So establishing a foundational management system. So integrating your systems to standardize and improve all your interrelated business processes to achieve that desired outcome. Strengthen your organizational agility and culture. So operational excellence and organizational agility are not mutually exclusive, but they actually are mutually reinforcing to each other. Operational excellence provides the stability and efficiency needed for predictable operations, while agility provides the ability to use changes as opportunities for competitive advantage. So organizational culture serves as the link between the two concepts. This provides success in volatile work environments and other environments. So culture is an advantage where every employee can see the flow of value and fix it before it breaks down. Transitioning to utilize digitalization to transform the organization. Adapting to technologies, not just adopting them. Utilizing those digital twins and AI for process mining to identify your deviations. Utilize visual management and RCA, or root cause analysis. Apply those proven methodologies and focus on that big picture to drive everybody towards that main goal that you're seeking. In conclusion, the road ahead for operational excellence is defined by human-centered excellence that prepares orgs for disruption through readiness, resilience, and continuous innovation. And whether you're in the pursuit of profit in the private or the public sector, the principles of the thinking, the respect for individuals, and systematic alignment remain the foundational pillars of enduring success. And integrating advanced digital technologies from AI to digital twins continues to redefine the boundaries of what operational is possible. But the core mechanism of excellence remains the consistent daily behaviors of an empowered and engaged workforce. That's all I have today, and I hope you learned a little something, and we can move into a question and answer session if anybody has any questions.
Missy, while we wait to see, one, we want to thank you. This was very enlightening, but also not overwhelming.
Okay,
so now there are some real key pieces and parts that organizations can take away to start their work on their own operational excellence journey. So we appreciate your expertise, the way that you brought it to us. And I don't see any questions at the moment. So I will say, for those who are watching later, if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to help answer those and guide you on your own journey. As I said earlier, we will send out the slides as part of the session, and anyone that wants them can also request them if you're watching at a later time on our YouTube channel. Missy, again, thank you, and Delta Dog Consulting for putting on this excellent webinar with attainable information. So,
all right. Thank you. Thank everybody for joining.
Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
You too.